Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score!
Ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
Washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary. And I said, Stone Cold, why have one when you can have them both?
Swung out and drilled! Deep right center! Away back! Gone for Tony!
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up.
It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Awful.
How is she awful?
Hates freedom.
And now, Any Given Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Any Given Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Brendan Ward, sitting right here with my main man,
Ethan Simpson, how are you?
Ethan. We're going to go ahead and sell the shirts I have on here. Numbers don't lie. The 6 is a B. Howie's been wearing it for about 3 months now. When a skeleton's wearing it, you should want to wear it too. That's what we were going for there. Get the shirt. I don't know how else to tell you it. You know what it means. Get it while it's hot, because next year when people are still denying 6, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. And where can you get these shirts at, Brendan?
I believe it's KentStagePosters.com. That is KentStagePosters.com.
KentStagePosters.com. You can get yourself your very own Numbers Don't Lie shirt. Like my main man Brendan here said, the B is a 6. You can kind of figure that out. Hopefully you figured it out by now.
Yeah, I don't know how much we could reiterate.
But they are available at KentStagePosters.com. Along with the Numbers Don't Lie shirt, you can find almost any one of your favorite concert posters from the Kent Stage in the last, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I'm not too sure. We have so many. It's crazy. But yes, you can find those on KentStagePosters.com. And if you want, you can even make a bundle. Get the shirt, get your favorite Todd Rundgren poster or Peter Wolf, somebody like that. And there you go. You are set. So moving on from, we're still going to be talking about the Browns, but we're going to be moving on from the T-shirts, Browns free agency, watch board. Who are we looking at right now?
Well, we're kind of looking at a couple people that can be signed right now after being released by other teams. The Carolina Panthers did release safety Trey Boston, a scrappy veteran who could come in and still not the same role as Sendejo, because we know how that went, but just somebody who has better talent than that can come in and probably fill a hole with Ronnie Harrison still learning. And Grant Delpit not really, we don't know what he is yet.
Yeah, he didn't really have a rookie season.
Yeah, he hasn't played a down in the NFL. And they need a safety. They need DBs. They always need DBs. You can't go wrong with depth at the defensive back position, no matter what position they play. Another guy that they could potentially look at is linebacker Christian Kirksey. As you all know, he's been a member of the Dog Pound for a while. He actually ushered in Dog Check, which the Browns still use. One of Jarvis Landry's good friends. There's not much else I could tell you about Christian Kirksey you don't already know.
Christian Kirksey was on Twitter during the Browns playoff drive, was expressing how much this means to the city, how much the fans mean to him personally and to the team, how much he loves Cleveland. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, he definitely gets us in terms of that hometown boy vibe. You know what I'm saying? The problem with Kirksey was he missed a bit of time towards the end of his tenure here. And then even in Green Bay last year, he struggled with a couple injuries. So just for a depth guy, a leadership guy, somebody that's going to teach these young ones, Taki and Mac Wilson, who Taki seemed to take a step forward, and Mac Wilson towards the end of the year kind of stayed a little stagnant. Some guy that can push them in the right direction. I still think they're going to attack linebacker and defensive back heavily in the draft, but just another guy who's going to come on the cheap that can help fill some depth. And then, we've been talking J.J. Watt just because he's available and he's got a name. He tweets using a takeout analogy the other day, saying that he needs more time. It takes him over an hour to go through the DoorDash menu to decide what he wants to eat for takeout, and that means he needs time to weigh his options for where he's going to play football.
What a stupid tweet to make.
Yeah,
it's so dumb. When you have takeout on your mind, you know exactly what you're thinking and craving. What a stupid tweet. It's just classic J.J. Watt. Would I like to see him on the Browns? Yeah, if he takes a pay cut. But don't do that. He's so corny. He's almost at the same level as LeBron James in corniness.
I mean, he knows what I'm not even going to get into the tweet today. It's all I heard on the way here. He tweeted something about the powerhouse being the mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell. And everyone's breaking it down. What does that mean? What does that mean? What if it just means the powerhouse or the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? There is no breakdown to just a stupid tweet. Can we stop tweet watching and
so people are trying to take a scientific tweet and turn it into a football tweet?
Someone earlier really said that it was a biology tweet, so that means science. And when you go to college for scientific things, you could end up being a doctor. And where's the best doctors in the world located? The Cleveland Clinic.
I was gonna say the best in heart surgery.
So like that's what they're doing. They're breaking that down. Or Bears fans took out everything but the MITCH in mitochondria, put it together, and it said something like Mitch is the powerhouse. So he's going to Chicago. This is where we're at with J.J. Watt.
There's so many people that have so much extra time on their hands that they just break down these tweets. Like, what are you doing, man?
I didn't even know he tweeted it till I got in the car today. Like,
I understand if you're in sports broadcasting, it's a 24-hour news cycle to where like I said, 24-hour news cycle, you constantly have to talk about the same things. Look at Sports Center. Look at 92.3, look at 850, look at all those guys. They constantly have to talk about something. But that's a little too far. Like breaking that down is way too far. And the Cleveland Clinic is the best clinic for cardiovascular health.
I'm all for breaking down a J.J. Watt potential Cleveland Browns signing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm all for that, but not based on what he tweets. Because I really don't like you. You have it in your bio that your tweets are mostly parody or jokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't tweet seriously. Sometimes, like, I tweet when Colin Sexton goes off against the Nets to secure a win, which seems like forever ago now, and we'll get into the atrocious ass Cavs in a few minutes.
I did make a tweet yesterday. And we'll get into baseball a little later, but I was dead ass serious about that. If I Dream a Genie, my first one would be like, hey. And we'll get into that here a little bit later on the podcast.
Let's go ahead and move on to the division rival Pittsburgh Steelers. They seem to be sending a clear message to Ben Roethlisberger that he has two options. Well, I guess three. He could either retire, he could either take a pay cut, a significant one, or he can go play for another team.
Yeah.
And since that, the owner has been interviewed, the GM has been interviewed, Mike Tomlin has been interviewed. None of them have said anything to the contrary. They're all seemingly sending a pretty harsh message to a guy that has been loyally their quarterback for a decade plus. That, look, you're not worth $30 million anymore. I hate to tell you, but you're just not. So either go home or go somewhere else.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate to agree with the Steelers. I hate them with a passion. But I can agree with that. Look, Tom, you can still take him to the playoffs, but what can you do past that? You can take them to the wild card round, and then what can you do past that? They're looking for fresh young talent, and let me tell you what, Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph are not the franchise quarterbacks that they're looking for.
I mean, they signed Dwayne Haskins too.
Dwayne Haskins has the potential to be one of those quarterbacks that is sneakily good. He didn't work out in the system in Washington. Maybe it works out in Pittsburgh, but you know what? He's no Baker Mayfield.
He's also an Ohio State quarterback. But yeah,
I like when I see a quarterback from Ohio, I want him coming from the MAC. I want him wearing number 7. I want him coming from Kent State in the 2022 draft.
I guess we'll see who's looking for a quarterback next year. And then the final thing to note in the NFL, just real quickly, the New York Jets announced that they plan to go through all their quarterback draft evaluations before deciding whether they should turn to Sam Darnold if they feel that that's necessary, and they're not going to get their guy at number 2 after squandering the number 1 overall pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars late in a late season victory to avoid 0-16.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Sam Darnold. I like the rivalry that the Browns and Jets now have because the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, who should have went first. I like that. What the Jets should do is draft an offensive lineman with that number 2 pick because that's what he needs. He has no protection. He's just getting blown up.
I'm not sure. Like, I guess what I'm gonna say is if anybody's gonna succeed from this draft, it's probably Lawrence. Although I don't think he's going to. So I'm not sure there's a quarterback in this draft that's going to be better for you than Sam Darnold. Going forward, if you have the right guy, and I believe Saleh can be the right guy, if you have, like you said, an offense that can protect him, you've got receivers there, you've got Crowder over there. Sure, you're going to have to pay him in a minute, but okay. And then start looking at elite running back talent maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. You got Najee Harris that'll probably be there towards the top of the 2nd round or even late 1st round if you decide to get back in, especially if you're looking to I don't know, you have some linebackers there that Cleveland might be interested in for 26. C.J. Mosley comes back next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think you could build an offense quicker and that team quicker by not selecting a quarterback too, by staying with what you've got, because Darnold isn't damaged goods. Very interesting to see the damaged goods in Carson Wentz and see what he does in Indianapolis. We don't even have that on the docket here today. But
yeah, how about Pittman Jr. saying, I'm not giving you number 11?
And I'm 11,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, that's a good start.
Right, yeah, you guys are going to have a blast playing together.
Hey, Michael Pittman, Chris Godwin gave up 12 last year. Guess where they ended up?
That is true.
Yeah.
And you know what? The thing with that, too, is this dude is coming into his 2nd year. And look, granted, Carson Wentz is nowhere near Tom Brady status, but he's been in the league since 2016. So he's got a little leverage on that guy. If I was Jim Irsay, I'd be like, hey, you're giving him that number. What are you talking about?
To go through that real quickly, I think that Wentz went to the only place he can succeed.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I was saying I thought Wentz would do good with Bill Belichick in New England.
I just don't think that he's going to have the weapons in New England that he's going to have in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is probably a good wide receiver away from being a Super Bowl contending team. And a quarterback at this point, but we'll see what Wentz does.
Yeah.
They got the defense, they got the running back, they got the offensive line.
They got DeQuell Jackson.
Well, once they took him from Cleveland.
Is DeQuell Jackson still on the Colts? I was going to say, all right. I didn't know if he still was. I know it was years ago, but I had to make that joke. But
I think he left after Deflategate. I think that was his last year.
Gotcha.
Because he was the one that caught the pick, right?
Let me look it up. But while I'm looking it up, let me tell you what. Being a Browns fan for as long as I have, which is 24 years. I mean, obviously, when I was a child, when I was an infant, I wasn't really that big of a Browns fan because my brain was still mush.
Yeah.
But being a fan of the Browns since '99, as long as I haven't seen the carousel of quarterbacks. Look, New York Jets. Let's not get into this. You don't want to go down that slippery slope because it is not fun. You need to get linemen to protect your quarterback. I watched so many quarterbacks come. Colt McCoy, Brady Quinn, all these guys. I watched them just get their brains completely demolished by linebackers and defensive tackles because we had no offensive line. You know who we had? We had Joe Thomas. That was it. That was our offensive line. We had one guy.
The Browns adopted a mentality that if you have a left tackle, you have a whole offensive line.
Yeah.
And just didn't realize that while their quarterback was getting killed by other teams' defensive tackles, or a guy or a guy like Von Miller that rushes on the opposite side.
He retired after the 2016 season.
So,
Quill Jackson.
And when was Deflategate? Yeah,
Deflategate was.
It was about that time, right? Because Luck retired in 2018, and he retired about 2 years after that game.
Deflategate was January 18th, 2015.
Okay, so he played another year after that.
Yeah. So you're essentially right.
Yeah.
After Deflategate.
Yeah, pretty much. After Deflategate, he was like, you know what? We got robbed. We're going to try to give it another run. They didn't do really anything in that next season over there in Indianapolis because Andrew Luck got hurt. And then he was done. I mean, at that point, he was pretty old. But enough about football, man. Let's get into racing because that was the exciting thing that happened.
Boogity, boogie, boogie. Let's go racing, boys.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 at Daytona, in Daytona, Florida, the road track.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Bell of Joe Gibbs Racing brings home his first career win in his 38th start on Sunday. He was a rookie last year. How about 2 weeks in a row we get two guys with first career wins? Yeah, that was pretty big.
You know, I was riding on Elliott. Elliott was taking names.
He was tearing it up.
The funny thing is, a lot of people don't understand this about racing. They were saying he was 4.5 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin or whoever was in second place at the time behind him. Do you know what 4.5 seconds looks like when you're going almost 200 miles per hour?
Yeah,
it's like the size of this room.
Well, that's when you also take into consideration that 10 to 12 seconds is probably lapping the next guy, lapping the slowest guy at that point. So like he's almost halfway around. He was getting to points where he was almost halfway around a lap.
Yeah,
and the fifth guy. Because we'll say Hamlin and whoever was 2 through 4 were within that 4 seconds, but anybody farther than that was a half a lap back, and it took a lot to bump Chase Elliott off. It was a spin out, hands up in the grass.
I'm not gonna lie, I accidentally fell asleep during that.
Well,
I missed the end of the race.
I didn't miss the end of the race, so we'll switch. You know a lot about the Elliott parts. I know a lot about when Logano led and when Bell took over.
So I was going to say also real fast before we get into that, did you see they were like a lap? They weren't even completely through the first lap when Kyle Busch decided to drive in the grass and lock up his passenger side wheel.
Yeah, I saw that. It was
I
so
told
quick.
you 175 East Main Street in beautiful downtown Kent, Ohio. 44240. I'm telling you exactly where you can find me, and we will fight on that stage. Because you know what? And you have the gall to wear the peanut M&M uniform and drive the peanut M&M car, and peanut M&Ms are my favorite, and you have the gall to do that. So 175 East Main Street in beautiful downtown Kent, Ohio, 44240. Hit me up, eth.simpson@gmail.com, Kyle Busch, and you can see me here. I'll let you finish.
It was funny because you say that one lap into the race, kind of he did that. One lap into the race, I was explaining the difference between Kurt and Kyle to Heidi. So that was kind of funny to me.
Kurt's the one that doesn't look like a bozo.
And he doesn't have he's not terrible. I don't mind Kurt Busch. Kyle Busch is the one that kind of Just like I said a couple weeks ago, most punchable face in all of sports aside from Mason Rudolph.
No meeting it
You said what?
too. No meeting it too.
Okay.
Yeah, besides Mason Rudolph, most punchable face. And he's a crybaby. He just people say like Tom Brady's a crybaby, LeBron's a crybaby. No, if you ever watched a post-race interview with Kyle Busch,
Yeah.
he's literally in tears, kind of like Big Ben after he lost against the Browns in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's always just something with him. But back to the race. Elliott commanded the field, like we said, for much of the early parts of the race. After Elliott spin out in a caution, Logano was able to then take over that first spot and hold it for much of the rest of the race, battling through numerous cautions because it was like every other lap they were stopping because somebody missed a turn or their tire didn't catch because they now had to turn right, like I told you last week. If you hate racing because they only make left turns, like we made fun of you guys for last week, I told you to tune into this one. Finally, about a half a lap before they would take the white flag, it comes to everyone's attention that Logano's brakes were fire red. You could see them from the broadcast. You could see them through his tires at just how overheated his brakes were, and he couldn't slow down. So he had to slow down even earlier to get around some of those curves, and that allowed Bell to take that lead mere 1 or 2 seconds before they took the white flag. And then after that, Bell put together the fastest lap of the day of anybody to secure that victory on that final lap.
Which is crazy to me because if you watch like I said, the first, 40 laps? Something like that.
It was 40, 45, something like that.
Chase Elliott was just bang, bang, bang. He was busting out these laps, and he kept getting – I know he was getting red hot every time there was a caution or somebody because somebody went into the grass because they would have the people behind him that he was lapping 5 seconds
they're
above.
now getting caught up.
They're getting caught up, and then instantly, boom, he's just out of there. These guys can't keep up.
When Gordon said that at the end of the race, I was just lost as to how that was possible. That Bell, who also was overheating on his brakes, still was able to put together a time trial lap. And it was crazy. Like, they wouldn't even let the dude do a burnout because he's got to save his engine for another race. It was all sorts of, the ending was all sorts of different to me. But we got one coming up next week too.
I caught the post race, but like I said, about 45 laps in, I decided to lay down with my dog and accidentally ended up taking a little snoozer. A little snoozer with the schnauzer.
Yeah,
it's not a schnauzer.
I snoozed.
I snoozed with the schnoz.
For like laps 10 through 50.
Yeah, see, I was up for the beginning of the race. I was amped up, and then it was just my dog decided to lay next to me, and I was petting him. And when you're petting a dog, your heart rate and your blood pressure goes down, and just ended up falling asleep.
Start getting relaxed and chilling for him.
Right.
So that's the way it goes.
So next week, Cup Series race is the Dixie Vodka 400. Sunday, February 28th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Okay. Now, this race is a 1.5-mile banked oval located in Homestead, Florida. And if you watch the race, not last weekend, but the weekend before, the 500, they had Pitbull on there talking about he finally gets to go home towards Miami.
Yeah.
He was excited about that. He said he's bringing his family. Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, it's crazy to see some of the different people that are getting into it. Alvin Kamara, he sponsors a car now too, from his bar called Big Squeezy. He's got a sticker on somebody's car. I don't know exactly which one, but that's pretty cool to see too.
I think it's Suarez.
Suarez, okay. Ihuyeño is his name or something like that. I butchered that. That was bad.
Give me 1 second. Let me look it up.
Eugenio. I know how to spell it. I can't say it though. That's I can spell.
I thought it was Suarez. No, Suarez that's Pitbull.
Yeah,
That's who
that makes
Pitbull
sense.
sponsors.
Yeah, we'll get that information for you. But Alvin Kamara now in it, Michael Jordan now in it, Pitbull now in it.
He's sponsoring. This guy is not in the. He's not in the Cup. He's in the Xfinity League.
Okay, well he's still
still a
sponsoring
NASCAR.
racer. Yeah, he's still getting his money into NASCAR and realizing how much money you can make off of it and things like that. He even said that he would pay for other NFL players to come to races so that they can see just how exciting the sport is, especially in person. Because you could watch NASCAR all day and it's intense it's intense for people like me and you that know what's going on TV. But it's a whole different animal when you're in there, in your sitting in the stands. You got bleacher seating. Kids have like earbuds in because the noise is just so penetrating.
We didn't wear. Me and Ian did not wear. Earbuds when we were at the Phoenix International in 2015. We were drinking Bud Heavies and sitting there right at the line, like the closest you can be to the fence, and putting our ears there. I got the worst sunburn I had ever in my life at that race, and I also couldn't hear for about half a day after that.
I could imagine. I was gonna say that's
they come back and they're like,
yeah, it's so.
And you got 43 cars doing that at the same time.
If you go to like a local race and think those 20 cars that are just not even like stock car racing, you know what I'm saying? You get those beat down beaters that people are racing at Lorain County Speedway or something. And those ones are even loud. So I couldn't imagine a car that's built to go 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, it was like watching the races this weekend, the road course, and these cars are smoking every time they take a turn. It's like, these cars are meant to go on a speedway, going 200 miles per hour, not to make turns like you're driving down the goddamn middle of Kent, Ohio.
And people don't get that. That's why it was so hard, because they're built to go 160 to 200, depending on if they're turning or going straight, going through a straightaway. What you got for me?
All right, so the New Orleans Saints running back agreed to sponsor Ryan Vargas. It's Vargas.
It rhymes
in the Xfinity Series race Saturday at Daytona, last Saturday.
Yeah.
He had no funding for the road course race. That's when Camara's bar chain decided to
give it to
sponsor him.
Nice. Yeah. There you go.
And he said that Bubba Wallace had inspired him to help create a safe space in NASCAR for people of color.
Yeah, and then that's the way it should be.
And Michael Jordan as well, and Denny Hamlin, and all the guys that do, and Brad Doherty.
Doherty was already in it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that give racing a chance, and you should, because it is very, very, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
it's like I was talking with my old man watching the race course, watching the 500 last week, 2 weeks ago, technically.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and you watch it, and if you watch the control these guys have going 186 to 200 miles per hour, how somebody can bump into them and they keep from, it's absolutely mind-boggling. I can't do that driving a Nissan Cube.
Yeah, I actually, on the way here, I was thinking about that. I hit like 85 because I was like running behind. So and I got a little out of control, and I was like, man, how do these guys go around that type of curve? And I know
right.
They like go high and then cut low and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but that's only cutting so much out of it. You're still turning at 160 miles an hour around a complete turnaround.
When these guys are going 3 wide,
yeah, and
3 wide on that track at 200 miles per hour, and then especially watching them go 3 wide on the road course, that's absolutely mind-boggling. These guys, people that say that NASCAR drivers are not professional athletes, stifle yourself. In the words of Archie Bunker, stifle yourself.
You're doing that in a car that has about 10% of the weight of a normal car.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it in a car that also has 10% of the metal in a normal car.
Yep.
And 10%, maybe even less, of the safety precautions that a normal car offers to regular everyday civilians, because you're essentially in a roll cage on wheels with a high-grade motor.
Yeah, so these cars, I just looked it up, they have, for the NASCAR, like you said, it's got less weight and all that from regular cars. They also have 750 horsepower behind those engines. And, the Dodgers are driving on Hemis.
Yeah.
And not just the regular Hemi you get when you buy a shitty Challenger from a dealership.
Yeah.
These are real Hemis that they made just for this.
Yeah, you're pushing. I don't know what a car weighs, but if they're pushing it around,
They got to be around 2,500 pounds.
You think a race car is 2,500 pounds?
No, a normal car.
Yeah, a normal car about. I think a race car is probably 5.
Yeah,
If that.
well, they made it just so the most weight that you get out of a NASCAR is the motor and it's the roll cage.
Yeah,
the car's supposed to, when it hits the wall, explode like that, like the sheet metal on it.
Yeah,
that's supposed to come off
because it's sheet metal. It's
as long as the roll cage is still intact, that's the only thing that matters.
It's slightly thicker than a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's like watching Formula One or IndyCar. When they hit the wall, the sheet metal blows off because that's what it was made to do.
We can't just continue to sing the praises of it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love it to death. Y'all need to get on it is all we're saying here. We're continuing to just boom, boom, boom. Get on NASCAR.
It's honestly fun.
I wasn't on it for a while. I've always liked it. Wasn't on it for a while. Now I'm into it.
It's fun to watch because you watch it and you honestly sit there and you're like, how? Like, if they're going too wide and one guy comes up and he's in front of him and he drops down a little bit, and then the whole lineup just switches and people are just. It's almost the best way I can describe it is watching a chess match, because it's so crazy how one guy makes one little move and the rest of the pack just.
Think about it in terms of Elliott, like you said, dominated 45 laps, something like that. He spins out. He ends up back at like 15th or 16th. He makes his way back up to 5th near the end of that race.
Yeah.
Then we get another spin out that wipes out a couple of those people. He finishes in the low 20s or late 10s, low 20s, something like that. Christopher Bell starts at 12, stays near 12, stays near 12, stays near 12, finds himself at 2 after a caution, steals the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you got to be strategic.
Yeah,
on how you do it. People think it's just dumb rednecks driving around in circles. Shut up.
I feel like there's a lot of people that see someone at 50 laps into a race and thinks they have no shot.
Right. Well, it was like look at how the 500 ended 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it came down to the final lap, and Michael McDowell pushes Brad Keselowski to get a little move on his teammate Joey Logano, and Joey Logano turns to block him, and they spin out, and Brad Keselowski almost, the way that his car looked afterwards, if that was a normal person's car, like a car that you would see driving down the street,
it's over.
He'd be dead.
It's over.
Yeah.
Or I know we dislike the dude, but if anybody's car catches on fire the way Kyle Busch's did, gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely
gone. It's over, and it was huge, and it was big, and it gives McDowell the photo finish in his first race. Bell takes another.
Man, it just sucks that if they would have just called that caution when Chase was just above him, that would have been perfect.
5 seconds earlier, Chase Elliott wins,
and that's NASCAR. It's a game. It's a game of seconds.
It is.
That's what it
and
is.
It really is, and it's the reason you can finish her second and third and still be there in the end. When it comes to points, and it's the reason their point system is so significant. In
Absolutely,
terms of determining a champion later in the year,
and that's why they do the different series or the different stages, like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3,
because it is 3 different races almost.
Yeah, and you see almost every single race, and every race is like ended like that. It's always a photo finish with like milliseconds between these two cars.
Somehow you'll see a leader, like especially in straightaway races and not road tracks. You'll see leaders get out to 10-second leads, and somehow always at that last lap it's gone. Like
Yeah,
where'd it go?
you do one little thing. You could have 4 laps left, and you do one little thing wrong, and you lose the race in the last lap because of that one little thing.
Ask Joey Logano.
Yeah, yeah.
He stretched out his brakes a little too far, and here we are. They were the downfall of him. The reason Christopher Bell is the winner of the second race of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome start, though, the first 2 winners. I mean, like I said, I wish it would have been Logano in the 500 because I called it.
Yeah, we would have selfishly both been on here and been like, yeah, told you so.
And then this Saturday, or last Saturday, I wish it would have been Chase Elliott because Chase Elliott, that's my guy. I'm sticking to it.
He's becoming your boy.
That's my boy.
I like him too.
He's
but
been
I'm
my
not
boy
picking
since he
him.
was driving the 24.
I like him too, but I'm not picking him.
You know who my dad hates?
Oh,
Austin Dillon.
he hates him just
Yeah.
because he's in that 3.
Yep.
Dude,
Retire the 3 is what he said.
Nobody should have ever been in the 3.
He said retire the 3, retire the 43. And he said, you know what? I'm going to say it. Fuck it. Retire the 24 as well.
Honestly, if you want to go that far, you could probably go 3, 43, 24. At this point, I'll even give you 8, 20, and 48.
48, I can, but
Johnson?
yeah, Jimmy Johnson, absolutely.
20 kind of ruined his legacy a little bit.
You mean when he was on that dirt track?
Yeah.
Killed that guy?
Yeah. 20 kind of ruined his
What was
legacy
that?
a little bit. But
My apologies to this guy's family if you ever see this, but it was that guy's fault for getting out of
Yeah,
his race car and getting in front of on a dirt track.
it's
too.
very controversial. He should have never even turned the way he did. And it's the reason Tony Stewart's not in jail.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the reason because judges found that were the case too.
You wait until after the race,
Yeah.
or if you guys spin out or something, you go to
Caution.
Yeah, you go to pit and then you fight him, or you wait until after the race. You don't get in front of him. I think that's what we were all taught when we were like 4 years old: is don't get in front of cars.
Yeah. I'm not getting in front of a car that's going 25.
Yeah.
At all. Like if a car is moving, and unless it's moving less than 5 miles an hour,
Unless you're like trying to hail a cab.
yeah, unless a cab's coming towards me or something, that's it. That's a cab coming towards me, or if I'm pushing a car out of like a snowbank or something, which was the worst time of my life last Friday, because we stopped over at my dad's and Heidi got stuck in the driveway. Oh, it was so terrible.
That happened to us this on Sunday.
And they weren't even home. So it was just me and her. And finally, I got her out, but she ended up in another one. And then we got her out of that one. She ended up in the first one again. And then finally, she got out. We got it out over the hump. And then finally, I was like, look, go, don't stop, and pay attention until you hit the street. Because he's got like a reverse J driveway, and it's pretty long. So she had to reverse quite a bit. It was intense. It was.
We the Cube the Jeep actually got stuck in reverse J driveway.
Yeah.
On Sunday, and I had to call Tristan to come and help us because it was me and T, and so I was trying to rock it. And I was like, Jesus, I can't do this. I need a little help because T was in the front hitting the gas, and we were in 4x4. So I had to hit up Tristan, hey, can you come help? And help. And he likes to work out, whatever.
Luckily, she's got a small car, so I could move it myself once I started rocking it a little bit. But it was not fun. I was sweating, and we had just stopped by to see see my nephews, so it was just, and my dad wasn't home yet,
right?
So it was just it was me and then her, and then we finally got it out, and I was yelling, and she was like, I didn't like you yelling at me. I'm I'm sorry, I wasn't yelling at you. I was just pissed.
Move the tires a little bit and press on the gas.
Well,
We need to get
my
this
biggest
loosened
thing was once I got it out and we're moving while you're pressing the gas, even if you hit somebody, do not let go of that gas until you're on the road.
Just keep
Because
Honey, keep on going. Keep on trucking.
Because once you stop, it's over with. And she said she did, but once she got stuck, it's kind of stopped her. So we got it, but we finally got it after like 20, 30 minutes of trying. But let's get back on course.
I was going to say, so speaking of Tony Stewart and the incident that happened when he was dirt racing on a dirt track. So the Dixie Vodka 400 on Sunday, February 28th at 3:30 p.m. on Fox that is held in Homestead, Florida. The track was first opened in 1993. The Cup Series held its inaugural race in 1999 with Tony Stewart as the winner.
Yeah. So randomly teed up that fact that I knew was there, but didn't realize we were going to tee it up like that. But it works. Yeah, Tony Stewart winning the inaugural race. That's why I said Tony Stewart was a big part of that era. People tend to forget it.
He was the Home Depot
That's
car.
why I called it, because people forget it, but he was a big part of that era.
You have that era, and if you're thinking about racing back in that era, you have Dale Jr., you have Jeff Gordon. You got Dale Jr. in the 8 Budweiser car. You have Jeff Gordon in the 24 either DuPont or Pepsi car. You have Casey Kane in the number 9 car. You have Tony Stewart. Did I already say Tony Stewart?
Yeah, we started with him.
You have in the Lowe's car. The Lowe's car, you got
Jimmy
48, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, in the Lowe's car.
You had all these guys. You had the Labonte brothers. You had all these racers that I grew up playing.
Matt Kenseth in the DeWalt car.
Yep. You had all these guys that I grew up playing the old NASCAR games on PlayStation and stuff. And now it's kind of, I had to retrain my brain about these new NASCAR drivers that are in, because they're driving the same number cars.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard.
But it's just like, hey, wait a second. Like Christopher Bell, wait a second. That's not Tony Stewart.
It was hard when
Who was that
Harvick
guy?
switched. Harvick was 2, and then he switched to 4, right?
No. I think Brad Keselowski got the 2 car after one of the Wallace.
That's
it was
right.
Rusty Wallace, and then
That's
I
right.
think when he retired, Brad Keselowski got it.
Okay, yeah.
I think Harvick's been in the number 4.
He was something else, though, before he took over the 4.
Who used to drive the Jimmy John's car in 2014?
Jimmy John's car, 2004. I'm not 100% sure. You continue to think about that era. Michael Waltrip and that Napa Auto Parts 15 was a big deal. There's so many from that era that's just like.
Yeah, no. Harvick's always.
He's always been 4? I thought he was like 29 or something. See, that's number 5 right there.
Yeah. That's weird. He was driving the number 4 car when he won at Phoenix International when I was down there.
Yeah. Harvick's old though, so he could have been back then, because he raced with those guys too back then.
Yeah.
So because he's only he's done, right? Or is he still the Jeff Gordon?
He's still racing.
Is
Clint
he
Boyer's the one who's up in the booth with.
Yeah, because
he was driving the Busch Lake car on Sunday.
Harvick. So yeah, he's not done, but he's close.
Yeah, he's 45.
Yeah,
so
he's close. He's getting there. I swear, we'll have to do some more research later. But you want to get into some basketball, man? We've been on racing for about
20-some,
30-some minutes.
It's a little easy to get into.
Hey, it is.
Racing's,
And we got into some different stuff with racing.
Racing's my number 1 right now.
Yeah, football's not going on, right? Baseball hasn't started yet.
Right, it's just pitchers and catchers.
We got them. We got what, 5 days until the first exhibition game, and then we got that's your baseball update. 5 days till the exhibition game, and then we'll get into some more stuff after this basketball. We talk about the Cavs continue to just put forth atrocious efforts, inconsistent blowout losses, the most recent being a 16-point loss to the Thunder. That loss, however, is the smallest deficit that they've lost by in 9 of the last 10 games that they've lost in a row. The average deficit for them is 20.9. I got that from Daryl Ryder earlier. They've lost by an average of 29.9 points in the last 10 games.
Dirty Daryl Ryder on 92.3 WFAN. But, yeah, you know who hasn't been playing during this losing streak?
Larry Nance.
Andre Drummond. Oh, Larry Nance as well.
Andre Drummond. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Well, they pissed him off.
yeah, they did, and I don't know which side to take with that one. Like, if you're gonna tell me not to play, then I'm not gonna play. I get it, but I don't see why they wouldn't play him, and just because his value is only gonna go up every time he goes on a court and puts up 20 and 20. Or 20 and 15, or 20 and 10 and 5, or something. Like every time he does that, his value is just going to go up. It's kind of like Kevin Love. Why is he still on this team? He's the most wasted $30 million contract a year I've ever freaking seen in my life. You're paying him the same amount as Tom Brady.
Yeah,
he hasn't played in 2.
LeBron was even kicking himself for giving him that deal.
Well, they gave it to him after LeBron left.
I meant like getting rid of Wiggins for
probably.
But they paid him because they were like, who the hell else are we going to have back from the championship
That's
team?
basically what they did. This guy's going to be a recognizable face from that 2016 title team. Yeah. So they gave him $30-some million a year, and he's pretty much played like 10 games since. And it's all guaranteed money because it's basketball. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just terrible. Kevin Love, they say he's active in practice. Okay, pay him like he's a coach and sign him as an assistant. Don't sign him as a power forward and give him $30-some million a year.
That's what I was saying the whole time that Nick Swisher was in Cleveland playing for the team, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't stay off the IR list. And I was like, why not pay him to be a bench coach? And he's got that bro hi-oh, hey, everybody. He's got that fake ass attitude, like, hey, everybody, everything's all good, man. I was like, no, everything's all good when you're getting paid $30 million.
Cleveland fans are the only fans that I know that for the Browns, they'll tell you that Josh McCown, who was at the time their starting quarterback, should be the coach. But Kevin Love, who can't seem to stay on the floor, shouldn't be a coach. He should be your star power forward. No, he probably should be a coach by now or traded off to a contending team so his ankle can miraculously freaking heal.
That is true, but I also agree with Josh McCown being the quarterback's coach.
He should be a coach now, but back in the day when he was your starting quarterback and fans were like, well, yeah, he should just retire and be the coach. Well, right now he's your best shot because the other guy's number 2 who couldn't stay out of Vegas.
That is
after they got rid of Brian Hoyer.
Damn, man. I sent my jersey up to Brian Hoyer.
Let's hopefully that gets back.
It's still in Foxborough.
Okay, well, that's where he's at.
Hey, you know what? If I don't get that back, Brian Hoyer, baby, you owe me a new fucking jersey.
Just Sharpie it, and I'm sure Ethan will cover shipping. Just message him.
I sent him in the package a shipping receipt
to return it.
Yeah, return shipping.
Okay,
sticker.
So see, there you go. It's easy. You just got to
One
take a Sharpie.
Patriot Way, Foxborough, Massachusetts.
You just got to take a Sharpie to it. An insane stat from this Cavs run has been that they have failed to cover the spread in 13 straight games. That is the longest such streak in over 3 decades. So taking all that into account, where does the blame go? Does the blame go to the age of the average player that's playing significant time for the Cavs? Has JV Biggerstaff lost the locker room? Or is it because you took a flyer on Andre Drummond and now you're not playing him? Or is it because you owe Kevin Love so much money that you can't seem to trade him or just cut him because it's still going to cost you $30-some million a year?
So let me ask you this. When you make a stew or a soup or something like that, do you only use one seasoning or ingredient?
No.
It's all of them. It's all of that. Everything you just brought up is the reason why the Cavs are losing.
But altogether, those are all the problems. But where do we get like the most significant sort of like problem from? Because it seems like this team has quit.
Yeah, where you get most of the problems from is you get it from Garland, you get it from Sexton, you get it from Okafor, you get it from all these young guys who want to be the next LeBron James, and they think, oh, we're on the Cleveland Cavaliers, we can be the next LeBron James. there's nobody else who's going to be the face. So they do not pass. They do not pass the ball. They take stupid shots. And it's so hard to watch because you have guys on the corner and they'll just run straight through the paint and try and lay it up when they have like 3 big guys on them. It just it's annoying to watch. I can't watch it.
Yeah, I've missed a couple games. I'm not gonna lie, so I can't give you in depth of what's going on. But I can tell you, I've sat and I've went through it and I've looked at it, and it seems like Bickerstaff has lost the locker room. It seems like Kobe Altman may not really know what he's doing. So I think Bickerstaff is done, especially if there's not a significant turnaround. You hired him off of a 5-game sample size after you had to fire your ancient head coach in John Beeline after he made some stupid comments. So you turned to him. He caught Colin Sexton lightning in a bottle, had him averaging 20 points a game before the league ended last year. And you were like, all right, this is going to be our guy because he's got experience. It's similar to what the T-Wolves did the other day. Or yesterday, firing their coach and then hiring one 10 minutes later, except he didn't come from within the staff. I blame a lot on Bickerstaff because that is his job to get those guys to pass and to check the egos at the door. And
Absolutely.
They seemingly had done that. The Cavs were a very, very promising team 20 games into the season. Now, 30 games into the season, they're low end. They're 1 game out of the worst record in all of basketball. And aside
Shocking.
from shocking, right?
Shocking. The Cavs are
3 weeks ago they were looking like they were a playoff team. Now we're hoping that odds are in their favor to get the number 1 overall pick. Unfortunately, the best overall college basketball player seems to be a point guard, and
we don't need any
they've
more
got
of that.
100 of those. The Cavs have no 2 3s or 4s, but they have a ton of centers and a ton of point guards.
Right.
And for some reason, for so long, their 3 was their guy. You know what I'm saying? LeBron. That was the man for so long, and now it seems like they're just like, we don't need one. I hate to tell you, the 3 and 2 are where everyone's at. That's where Kevin Durant's going to play. That's where C.J. McCollum. That's where Bradley Beal. That's where Russell Westbrook. I know they play point guard, but they're built like 2s and 3s. You can't get a point guard that's built like an old school point guard in Colin Sexton and Darius Garland and hope you're going to compete in this league. I like what Colin Sexton's been doing. I like the strides that he made, but you're right. He has not checked the ego still.
No.
He's a humble dude, but it is the 2 show right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, I'll explain for the listeners at home. I have taken the microphone off of the stand. If you are watching it on YouTube, you can see I took it off the stand. I'm gonna say 2 things. After the first one, it's gonna be a transition. Okay. Speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Mr. Cleveland, Mr. Northeast Ohio, Mr. Akron, Mr. whatever the hell he wants to call himself, LeBron James, do you not see what you've been doing to your hometown with it leaving constantly? Have you not seen what you've done to the economy of Cleveland every time you leave?
It's a whole different city when
Yeah.
he's not here.
But he's Mr. Cleveland. Oh, I opened the I Promise school. No, you opened that for yourself, and that's a fact. All right? You don't care about Cleveland. You don't care about Northeast Ohio. All you care about is your reputation and how you can beat Michael Jordan. That's all you care about. And transitioning from that, we're going to go into baseball. Francisco Lindor makes his debut at Mets spring training in full uniform. Congratulations, Francisco. You finally got fucking paid. Congratulations, bro. You screwed over the city that drafted you when you were 17 and raised you and loved you. But no, you want to go to New York because they'll pay you the money. You don't have any integrity behind you. And I meant what I meant when I tweeted it last night. I hope you tear your ACL this year and don't play for the rest of the season. I hope it happens during spring training because you know what? You really screwed Cleveland just like LeBron, but you know what? You weren't born here in Cleveland. You weren't born in Cleveland, so you won't get the same reputation as LeBron, and you never brought us a ring. So, hey, hope it's worth it. You could have stayed in Cleveland, taken a pay cut, and been paid the rest of your life. But you know what? Congratulations, Francisco Lindor. I hope you're happy. Goddamn Flushing, Queens.
Good luck in New York, man. The Indians seem to be in shambles, and I'd put a lot of my money on the fact that they'd still probably win more games this year. So I know that people think the Mets have an up-and-coming team, but they're the Mets. They don't even have a GM right now because he couldn't stop sending illicit pictures to teenagers and reporters. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're the Mets. I don't know what to tell you. Sure, you're going to get New York money and New York fame. And are you really, though? Because the Mets are the redheaded stepchild of that other team in New York.
Right.
Like, who cares about the Mets in New York?
You chose the wrong team.
You went to the wrong team in New York, my man. Because then you talk about legacies and stuff like that. They have a legacy, just their freaking uniforms. You know what I'm saying?
Who is a legend of the Mets besides like Darryl Strawberry?
You want to know the
Pudge
most
Rodriguez?
You want to know the most recognizable New York Met of all time? Tim fucking Tebow. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's who we think of when we think of the New York Mets right now. Like, you think of all those other guys because you're deeply rooted in history. You know what I'm saying? You know a lot about history. So you think of those guys, but a casual fan, Tim Tebow is the New York Mets. That's what you think of. Because that's all
David
anybody.
Wright?
Yeah,
maybe not David Wright.
Like, no, not even really. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really thinks of Francisco Lindor is already probably top 5 New York Met, and he hasn't even stepped onto the field. And I don't think he's going to have that good of a season. And I wasn't really that upset with you. I promise I wasn't. I get it. I get small markets. I promise I wasn't even really that upset that they weren't going to pay you until yesterday, until I'm tired, until it was a weird season. I didn't get full spring training. I didn't get to ramp up for 162 games. I was tired. So 3/4 of the way through the season last year, I quit.
He fucking quit on the Cleveland Indians.
And that's what he did.
And you expect us to sit here and be like, hey, congratulations, Francisco. Good job.
I want to show you guys what I could do because last year I didn't hit the weights like I was supposed to. I didn't do what I was supposed to. Guess what? We knew, right?
Everybody knew.
We came on here and we knew. Jose Ramirez was the best player on the team last year, and Cesar Hernandez was second. And they're both back. So gear up for maybe an AL Central title this year. Bold prediction.
And and let me say one more. I like to do this when I'm making a play.
I get it. I like to sit up.
And let me make one more thing clear, and I'm going to get really close to this. For all the people in Cleveland that are like, oh, the Dolans are cheap, they should have paid him. Guess what happens when you pay all that money to Francisco Lindor? You don't get Jose Ramirez and Shane Bieber coming back when their contracts are up. That's just not how it works. But these people, they do not know business, and they just think like, oh, they have an unlimited money. It's a Major League Baseball team. There's no cap space in baseball. It's not the NFL. It's not the NBA. It's not the NHL. What don't you get about that?
I'll end Indian stuff with this because we're running short on time, and it just pisses us off more and more we talk about it. I lost my train of thought, but we'll get it back in a second. All right, so we'll end it with, I really don't think there's going to be that much of a drop-off. Please start looking at paying Jose Ramirez now. You're going to need to. You're going to have to keep somebody, because especially if you're going to market a new team name in 2 years. Somebody's going to have to stay. You can't give me a completely rebuilding roster in 2 years and tell me that you're going to sell me a new name. I hate to. You're already going to have a hard time selling it to a lot of people.
Yeah, they
Get
will.
your shit together and sign Bieber and Ramirez. Let's move forward. I trust in Tito to make the best out of what he's been given. I trust in.
What was that, gout?
Yeah. No, he had gastrointestinal stuff, man.
He had gout as well.
Did he?
They had to take out a part of his foot and then put cement in there where the bone was.
Oh, that's not good. But yeah, so I trust Tito in the roster that he's been given, and expect them to not be out of it. They're not going to be out of it. I'm 100% sure they're going to win the Central, but expect them to be competing for one of those wild cards at least. Pitching is going to carry them a long way this year, which it did last year. The Indians averaged like 2 runs a game. They did not have a lights-out offense, and Lindor had like single-digit home runs, barely double-digit RBIs. Like, I'm really not worried about the loss of Lindor compared to what I thought I was gonna, especially after hearing he quit. But moving on to other baseball news, Mariners CEO Kevin Mather resigns after a video surfaces of comments that he made during a Rotary Club event. Me and you are kind of on the opposite end of the public on this one. I do believe that any sort of like racially motivated stuff that he said was a problem. But in terms of some of the stuff he said about manipulating service time or not wanting to shell out money for things he didn't think he had to, or bragging about underpaying his players. First of all, he comes from a Seattle team that's a small market team that lives in baseball off of underpaying players. So use some common sense there. In terms of manipulating service time, the Indians literally sent Mike Clevenger and Zach Plesac to Lake County last year. I know they did stuff.
That was because they messed up.
It was because they messed up, but the story around it was also because if Plesac spent another 4 days in Lake County, the Indians get another extra year at the end of that service time.
Why not?
And we do it all the time. So why is it a problem that when he was talking to his boys, and like I said, if he said I haven't seen the video, so I can't say exactly what he said, but if he said anything racial, I do not agree with that, and that's a problem. But in terms of this manipulating service time thing, everybody does it. Hell, even the high market teams, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees, if they're lucky enough to get a prospect that they're that high on, you best believe that if their big league roster doesn't absolutely need him right now, he's staying down in the minors so they can keep him as long as they want. It's what baseball does. And just because he got caught saying it, I don't really know if it's a problem. Dude lost his job probably because of what he said about the English-speaking players or the non-English-speaking players, which is neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to get cut up and mess with on being misquoted or something. But I don't know, man, with this one.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Every team does that. Every team does that with manipulating service times, paying this, that, and the third. What I was just going to say is I agree with you not to get into the English-speaking part of that whole conversation because, he already had to resign. What good comes out of that?
Yeah,
if anybody says anything about it,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other teams do the other things as well. I read online that he's still a minority owner on the Mariners, and one of the players he was speaking on, there was 2 players and a staff member. One of the players was Japanese, which the Mariners are the majority owners of the Mariners is a Japanese company.
Yeah.
Then it was Dominican, and then somebody else.
And really, I'm not going to get into it but it seems like what he said is that those guys aren't the greatest at speaking English.
Yeah, who knows? It's 2021. We live in this world where you accidentally say one wrong thing and you're canceled.
It's over.
So
it's over, and Mather's out because of it. Who knows? Maybe in a couple years he'll get another shot, but I'm not going to speak on whether he deserves one or not because I don't know, and that's not for me to decide. Yeah,
I was also reading the same article. It said that 2 women had accused him of sexual harassment or sexual assault, one of the 2. But the Mariners did an internal investigation.
Yeah.
They figured out they said these women just came up with these claims because they had just gotten fired.
Well, that's interesting.
That's what they said. That's what the Mariners said. I didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what the article said.
I didn't see anything about that, so I have no idea what's going on with that. But I mean, tend to take those things with a grain of salt because sometimes they are very much true. In the case of some of the stuff that happened with Washington football team and some of the stuff that they say that Dan Snyder did, very well seems to be true. But you start to get into hell, even Antonio Brown's ex, who accused him, seems to have gone away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's in the league.
And what I was saying was, I'm not saying these women are lying.
No,
I'm not saying
we don't have
they're not
the
or
relevant
anything.
information.
That was the first time I really heard of it in years.
Just
and I remembered about it and when I was reading it. So
just felt like it needed to be put out there that was also mentioned
as
a reason that maybe he had to step away. They were like, all right, so this happened. This is why we had to move on from him. He was asked to step away. He did willingly. And we're going to move on from that because that's as much as I want to get into about that because I don't know exactly what he said. And it could be, don't crucify me, because if he did say some racist stuff, by all means, axe him.
Yeah, and they're not releasing the video, or I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I believe me, I searched for it. I was ready to tear him apart if he said some stuff. For so far, I could even read you exactly what we have down here because this is exactly what I read. Mather made references to manipulating service time, not wanting to pay for translators. Those players that have learned English now are, in quotes, terrible English speakers, and bragging about underpaying players. Now, a lot of that was a clickbait headline, and then a lot of it was, you could look into some context and be like, okay, well, maybe he just didn't really, understand that maybe he should have toe-tapped around that subject, and now he does, and obviously, because he doesn't have a job. But moving on, what do you got for me?
Yeah, one last thing. Absolutely, like I said, especially in 2021, everybody has a video camera, a voice recorder. They have everything in their pockets. So maybe, and like we've been saying, I haven't seen the video. You haven't seen the video. So who knows if what he said or what context it was, blah, blah, blah. But still.
We are towing the line right now because we don't have full information.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
It's 2021. Why are you making those comments anyway?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's where we are right now. And that's why I can't argue against the fact that he doesn't have a job because it is. It's 2021 right now. Some comment shouldn't even be toe tapped around. So there we go.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, before we end the show, this day in sports history, February 23rd, 1985, one of the most famous incidents in college basketball happened. Indiana basketball coach Bobby Knight throws a chair at a player during the game.
Okay. Ethan just pulled that out of his ass because I didn't even know that was coming. But that's a good one, man. I don't know where you found it, but there you go. Because we couldn't find it.
I don't know how I went over it earlier.
We couldn't find shit for this segment as we were going through the show. In fact, we weren't even supposed to do it because we were supposed to be cut off early. But here we are, and you pulled one straight out of the ass and gave me some fire. Bobby Knight.
Literally just saw it before I said that.
The Ron Swanson, Bobby Knight. Like you guys had it, like the second episode, I just watched it the other day. Bobby Knight throwing a chair.
A lot of people out there.
Nearly 30,
if you're not that big of a sports fan, you're just listening. Even if you're, like I said, even if you're not that big of a sports fan, everybody's seen the video of Bobby Knight throwing the folding chair onto the court back in the day.
It's like not knowing who Ron Artest is.
Yeah, right. When he was pulling out those guns in the locker room.
Not even that. Or when he jumped into the stands and started beating the crap out of the fan.
Oh yeah,
of the Palace, man.
Yeah.
It's that sort of situation. Everybody knows who Ron Artest is because he's the dude that just went and started wrecking fans for talking trash to him. Like, it's the way it goes. But anything else today, my man, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at ETHSimpsonCGOD. You can follow me on Instagram at ETHSimpson. That's on Twitter at ETHSimpsonCGOD. And that is on Instagram at ETHSimpson. You can follow him at...
Follow me on Twitter at BWardCLE, on Instagram, B.Ward52. Follow the podcast at Podcast Given on Twitter, at Any Given Podcast on Instagram, Facebook.com/anygivenpodcast. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube as I look at this picture of Bobby Knight throwing a chair. Thank you for tuning in to Any Given Podcast. You have a wonderful rest of your week.
God bless. Stay blessed. 1 second. I made a mistake. It's not a folding chair.
It was a
It's just a regular chair.
It was just a seated chair. I was going to say it was 83, bro.
85.
Like 85.
It was like the chairs everybody had in their lunchroom in high school.
They had steel chairs there. That's it. And they're the way it is. But you got to sign off.
Yeah. God bless. Stay blessed.